everyone. Welcome to another HUD-EIV training system training. And my name is Nicole Faison. I'll be your trainer for today. And I am really excited because you know I get excited about EIV. And we've got a new version of EIV that is scheduled to be deployed tomorrow night, October the 28th, 2011. And that new version of EIV will become available to all housing authorities on Halloween, October 31st, 2011, on Monday. So what I'd like to do is go over the agenda for today, and we're going to talk briefly about annual security awareness training, what's new in EIV, and the release number is 9.2.1, which is scheduled for October 31st, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Then we're going to talk briefly about effective use of EIV reports to reduce improper payments, as well as HUD's monitoring of PHA compliance with mandated use of the EIV system. And then we'll have a question and answer session for our live studio audience here in Washington, D.C. For those of you that are viewing this training session via webcast, if you have questions regarding the content of this training, please email those inquiries to PIH-RHIIP.TA@HUD.gov, and I'll be more than happy to respond to those inquiries as quickly as possible. So, let's talk real briefly about annual security awareness training. As you all know, annual security awareness training is a training that all EIV system users are required to participate in once a year. And the purpose of that training is to ensure that you are aware of the applicable administrative, technical, and physical safeguards that you must employ to ensure that the EIV information is safeguarded. And I'm delighted to share with you an online training opportunity that is made available through the Department of Defense's internet online security awareness training. And so if you'll notice on the screen, we do have a direct link to this online training opportunity that's available to you. And so those of you that access the EIV system, you should be participating in annual security awareness training. Now, it's not, hasn't gotten to the point where HUD is going to require this particular online training. However, I would strongly encourage you to participate in this online training opportunity because it's a very thorough online security awareness training session, which allows for you to start and stop and complete the training session at your leisure. Also, at the conclusion of completing this online training opportunity, you can actually receive a certificate of completion through their online web portal. So that is the direct link on the slide here on slide 4. And to access this training, you would simply click on the Federal Information System Security awareness icon to access the training, and we're asking that you print and maintain the certificate of completion in your files in the event that you are audited for the purposes of determining compliance with EIV security requirements. And so that is something that is available to you. There's no cost to housing authorities to take this training, and again, very thorough training that's available to you online. And here's a screenshot to show you what that website looks like, and notice that there is an icon, the second one from the left, in which you simply click on for non-DoD personnel, and that's the Federal Information Security Systems Awareness Training session. Now, are you ready? Can you get excited about what's coming on Monday with the new version of EIV? I know everybody in the audience is like, I can't wait. Those of you that are watching, you're like, come on, Nicole, give it to us. All right, so the release date, scheduled for Monday, Halloween. So after you go to work and you look at the new version of EIV, you get to take your children trick-or-treating. And I'm here to tell you the new release of EIV is a nice treat. So I'm going to talk about what's new, okay? Here are some of the new features. Now, as you see EIV today, it's in that lovely burgundy color. However, I am delighted to let you know that HUD is bringing sexy back with EIV with a new color scheme, and I'm going to show you that new color scheme. It is hot, okay? And you're going to want to just touch EIV all day, every day. Now, a new feature in EIV, and I know some of you guys are wishing, Nicole, I really wish you had made this available like last month, because if you guys remember, you had to do that annual security awareness questionnaire in EIV to continue your access. There's a couple trick questions on that questionnaire, and some of you kept getting it wrong, and a lot of folks were writing in saying, something's wrong with your system, I can't get in, the questionnaire keeps reappearing. It's reappearing because you're getting a question wrong, okay? But the good news is that on Monday, October 31st, 2011, EIV will now show you which question you're answering incorrectly, okay? Can you get excited about that? Also, we implemented a printer-friendly version of the Annual Security Awareness Questionnaire test results because, and this is out of a suggestion that came to me from a housing authority, and I'm not going to say the name of the housing authority because basically everybody would be beating down this housing authority's door asking for a job, because guess what this housing authority does? If you complete this Annual Security Awareness Questionnaire with 100%, guess what you get? A bonus. Woohoo! Can you get excited about a bonus? So they asked if there was a possibility of printing out the Security Awareness Questionnaire test results. And so I'm delighted to say to that housing authority, yes, you can. So we have a printer-friendly version of that Annual Security Awareness Training test result. Also, if you're like me and you do a lot of data entry, the nightmare for me is that I type something and I want to clear it. I don't want to have to refresh the page to clear the data text field boxes. And so now within the EIV, on all of your data entry screens, there is now a clear button. So you can basically click on the clear and any typed text will disappear. So that's a nicety to have. And then also we've updated the text on the certification page for tenants to allow for them to document their written consent for the redisclosure of EIV information to a third party. A lot of folks were asking about a standardized form, and so we've built that into the EIV tenant certification page. Also, in the debts owed module, when you enter information by a single Social Security number, unfortunately, when we first deployed that mechanism last release in May, somebody brought to my attention, Nicole, HUD spelled backwards, duh, there's no delete button if I want to delete this EOP record for this single member that's in the debts owed module. So now we have a delete button on the data entry screen to allow for you to delete EOP records if you want to delete it just for that particular Social Security number. Okay. Also, we have printer-friendly version reports of household member information for the multiple subsidy report. As of right now, your multiple subsidy report lists all of the various households that may be receiving potential duplicate assistance across HUD rental assistance programs. And so before, folks used to have to dice and slice and redact and get the little piece of paper and cover it up so they could hide the other person's information. Well, my friends, you no longer have to do that manual redaction. There, see, she's dancing in the back. She's like, woohoo, can you get it excited? I'm excited about that. I'm dancing right along with you, honey. So the bottom line is now you have a printer-friendly version link to print just that specific household member information within the multiple subsidy report. And we'll be able to show you all of these lovely features in the following screenshots. The other enhancement that we've done, and it really, you won't be able to see it per se, but the logic behind the PHA usage report, which tracks whether or not a housing authority is accessing EIV, has been modified to count a housing authority as accessing EIV if you access any of the various verification reports within the EIV system. Because as of right now, EIV counts you or your agency as using EIV if you access income information by tenant or by reexamination month, or if you access the income discrepancy report, okay? Now that has been modified to expand the scope of counting your agency as accessing EIV. So the bottom line is, every agency should be able to be flagged as accessing the EIV system because there's more categories in which your agency can be counted as using the system. Okay, are you ready for these screenshots? Now, if you're watching this live, you can see this new color. It's a hot blue. I just love it. I just get so excited. I just run to work every day just so I can log on to EIV. I even log on it at home now because it's like so cool. Notice at the top there when you pass the security awareness questionnaire, there's that congratulations, you have successfully completed the questionnaire and the gates of EIV open. Now, for those of you that think you can outsmart EIV, I'm sorry to inform you, unfortunately, you cannot do that, okay? So if you try to outsmart EIV, it will give you an error message in red. So like here it tells you you must successfully complete the questionnaire in order to access the EIV system. So if you answer something incorrectly, notice now that it's showing you which question you answered incorrectly. Like for example, all of the following are acceptable ways of destroying EIV reports except, and I chose burning the reports. Burning reports is an acceptable way of disposal of EIV. Now, if you selected disposal in a trash can, that's the wrong answer. Okay, disposal in the trash can is what you should not be doing. So that would be actually the correct response, okay? Now, there's a question on the questionnaire, and it's not going to show up on the screen here, but what I'm going to enlighten you on, because this is the most popular question that's answered incorrectly on the questionnaire. And the questionnaire basically asks you, what forms are necessary in order to view EIV information? And one of the options is a HUD form 50058. We know that's an incorrect response because the 58 is not an authorization form, it's a collection of information about your families. The next option is a 9886 form. A lot of folks check that, and that is a correct response. However, there's a response that says a HUD form 9886 or an equivalent consent form that meets the requirements under 24 CFR Part 5, Section 230. That is the correct response. Remember, the HUD form 9886 form is not a mandatory HUD form. And if you read the EIV oath page, you will see that on the page it tells you that the 9886 form or an equivalent consent form that meets the requirements under Part 5, Section 230 is acceptable. So if you answer just 9886 form, you got that question wrong, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I know I answered it correctly. You answered it partially correct, okay? So remember, you know, when I'm rattling off these citations to you, I'm rattling them for a moment and for a reason, but they're also embedded on the EIV oath page. I told you a long time ago, you better make sure you're reading that EIV oath page and know what you're signing up for, because you know I have a sense of humor, right? So one day I will swap the certification around and say, okay, everybody's used to checking the box to say yes, 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 I acknowledge, I acknowledge, I acknowledge, but you know, I could swap the verbs around, and then really you should be checking no, 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 and you're like, wait a minute, I checked yes, how come it won't let me in? Because you didn't read the page. So you got to read the pages. Reading is fundamental, my friends, okay? All right, here's a new printer-friendly version of the Security Awareness Questionnaire, very simplistic. Just click on the printer-friendly version link, and a new window opens up for you to print that page out. Here's a screenshot showing you the new clear button on all your data entry screens. Now, here's the new text on the tenant certification page, and basically, this is a cover you housing authority. Y'all know what really, you know, CYB, CYA statement here to protect the housing authority, to authorize an individual. Basically, your tenants can now certify in writing on the tenant certification page that they're authorizing you to disclose their EIV information to a third party. And notice that the statement here says, I, which is the tenant, understand that the PHA is not responsible for any misuse or subsequent disclosure of my EIV income information to the above named individual or any other person that may obtain my EIV income information from me or the above named individual. We put this in a standardized form for you because a lot of housing authorities were indicating that tenants were requesting for their EIV information for whatever reason, and they wanted it to go to legal aid, they wanted to go to, Timmy, the person who helps them or what have you. And so this is how you protect yourself, by getting the written consent of the redisclosure of the EIV information to a third party at the request of the tenant, okay? Not at anyone else's request. If you have a legal aid lawyer or someone that comes up and says, hey, well, Bob has authorized me to access his EIV information, just give me the form. Yes, I can help you with that. Just have your client come in and we'll have him sign the appropriate release. Okay? So this is a statement to protect you in the event that your individual tenant wants their information disclosed to another individual. Now keep in mind, the Federal Privacy Act protects your tenants and actually affords them this opportunity to have their information that's derived from computer matching share it with another individual. Okay, so that's why we've created that for you. Here is the delete button showing you, we're on slide 15, showing you how you can now delete an EOP record if you opt to do the debts owed module by SSN. And then here's your new printer-friendly version of the multiple subsidy report where you can print household member information specific. Notice that there's a print household member information link to the right. You simply click on that link and you now have a printer-friendly version. Okay, effective use of EIV reports to identify and reduce improper payments. And I want to just take a moment for the housing authorities that weren't able to tune in earlier this morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We celebrated the work of the housing authorities that you all have done over this last fiscal year. Because of you and your hard works and your efforts of your staff, we wanted to commend you for a job well done. We wanted to thank you for all that you've done in helping HUD achieve its fiscal year-end goals. Because of you, the housing authorities, HUD was able to document the recovery of over $3.4 million in overpaid subsidy on behalf of deceased tenants. And you all are to be commended for a job well done. So I say thank you. Assistant Secretary Henriquez says thank you. Our General Deputy Assistant Secretary, Deborah Hernandez, says thank you for a job well done. And the celebration event with, the remarks of HUD officials was aired and will be available via webcast and YouTube at a later date, probably next week. And so what I'm asking housing authorities across the country to do is to just take a moment, acknowledge your staff for the jobs well done that they have done, and take a moment and celebrate you. So we here at HUD celebrated the PHA communities today, and so if you couldn't tune in earlier this morning, I want you to make a notch on the calendar where you're going to take an opportunity and say, you know what, we're going to celebrate success, because the work that you do affects families across the country every day, all day, and you all are the crux of affordable rental housing. And so I just want you all to take that moment to acknowledge a job well done. So with that said, let's just move into identifying and reducing improper payments. And, here at HUD, we say there is an effective use of the various EIV reports to identify potential improper payments, and we want you to be able to quickly identify those deficiencies and take corrective action in a timely manner to ensure that improper payments do not occur, but if they should happen to occur, to make sure that you get that money back. And so housing authorities are required to monitor the various EIV reports on a monthly and a quarterly basis, excuse me, and correct all identified deficiencies. And this is outlined in PIH Notice 2010-19, which is going to be reissued and modified. But here are the reports that you're required to monitor on a monthly basis. First one being my favorite, the EIV Deceased Tenants Report, the Identity Verification Report, which consists of the failed EIV pre-screening and failed SSA identity test, and then your PIC reports. You need to be monitoring your PIC reports, specifically the PIC delinquency report and the PIC re-exam report, to ensure that you have your 5/8 in a timely manner and making sure that you don't have any overdue annual re-exams. On a quarterly basis, you're required to monitor your multiple subsidy report. And I want to say one thing about the multiple subsidy report. In case you hadn't heard, and I can't remember if I distributed it to the PHA communities, but on September 26, 2011, HUD's Office of Inspector General, or HUD OIG, issued a report out of Kansas City regarding the multiple subsidy report. Specifically, OIG indicated that, unfortunately, while a lot of housing authorities did a great job in monitoring and following up with families that appeared on the multiple subsidy report, there were some housing authorities that did not follow up or take any action for folks who actually were receiving duplicate assistance in HUD rental assistance programs. And so we will be issuing guidance to help housing authorities to ensure that they're following up and taking the corrective action in a timely manner. But in a nutshell, if someone shows up on the multiple subsidy report, you're just going to have a conversation with the family. Either they have a summer home in Florida or they don't. Either they have that lovely cottage up there in Boston or they don't. It's a yes or no, okay? And, you know, we've got folks here from the Boston region in our live studio audience. You guys have some folks that like to go south from time to time, right? It happens. But you can't have a summer home and a winter home if you're subsidized, okay? You only get one subsidized unit, okay? So please just, you know, be cognizant and remind your families, hey, look, I know you live in Topeka, Kansas, and sometimes, you know, you can't deal with those hurricanes, and so you want to go somewhere where there aren't hurricanes. Well, you can do that, but you can't have two places, okay? So multiple subsidy report, the key is making sure that you're having dialogue with the family to confirm why there's a disparity showing up on the report. And a lot of times they're false positives. And it may be that you know, the family moved to another location and the housing authority forgot to do a move out for multifamily housing property, or there was a situation where the EOP, or end of participation transaction, was not successfully submitted into PIC. Those are easy fixes. But in instances where the family is confirmed to be receiving duplicate assistance, you must say goodbye, okay? You can't wait for the other housing authority to take action. Because a lot of times what I hear, they say, well, you know, Nicole, she's in North Carolina, but, you know, she's trying to get out of this multifamily housing property, and so she's in both units. Well, you can't be in two units at the same time. But I will work with you, my team. If you didn't meet my team earlier, we had the improper payments assessment team consisting of 6 individuals: Victoria Alston, Stephanie McQueen, Erica Williams, Melisande Bell, Darlene Felton, and myself, Nicole Faison. And so if we reach out to you, we're trying to help you. So please, you know, let us help you, because a lot of times we're trying to help you resolve an issue, and some folks, they don't want to listen to us, but we're here to help you. So I would rather you work with me than to work with an auditor, okay? So we're trying to keep you out of the fire, trying to keep you out of the, you know, the sandbox that you don't want to be in. So we're here to help you, and a lot of folks have reached out to us, and we're finding that some of you all are doing some not so good transactions in PIC. And I'm here to tell you, PIC can be your best friend, and I can show you how, okay? Last report you're required to monitor on a quarterly basis, the new hires report. And keep in mind, the caveat for the new hires report, only if your agency conducts or requires interim reexaminations in which you increase the family's rent contribution in between annual reexams. Now, if your agency just documents that whole process, there's no need for you to do the new hires report on a quarterly basis. Only if you physically change the tenant contribution in between annuals, okay? All right. HUD monitoring of PHA program compliance. Remember, folks, there's a new HUD regulation on the books, 24 CFR Part 5, Section 233. They're like, Nicole, how do you recite that? Because I wrote it. It's my favorite HUD regulation. It's the mandated use of HUD-EIV system to reduce improper payments and reduce potential subsidy payment errors. You gotta love it, because guess what, friends? When you reduce improper payments, that means that another family in your community can be assisted. So that's why it's really, really important to utilize the EIV system. And so I don't just love EIV because I created it for the PHA community. I love it for the national impact on your local communities. Because when someone moves out, guess what? That means someone moves in. That means someone who's been waiting on a waiting list for years for affordable housing. That means they now can be assisted. So that's the big picture, is you are facilitating families within your communities to receive a very vital, important benefit, and that's the benefit of having a roof over their head that is affordable, decent, safe, sanitary. So that just warms my heart. And I know just by looking at everybody in the audience and looking out there in TV land, because my producer Ed Santiago, he's got that special globe for me, and I can see all of the PHA communities, all the folks watching this, and they're like, I feel it. Okay, so as you all know, I am with the Real Estate Assessment Center, and so also known as REAC. And everybody knows REAC does assessments. And so guess what? We assess improper payments. And so basically what we do is on a quarterly basis, we download the various EIV reports. And anytime there is an issue on the report, we're going to send you a notification of those potential issues. And we will contact you by email and require you to follow up and take corrective action. Now, we're finishing up our Q4 activities, and we're going to begin a new process in January. And for the most part, I just want to let housing authorities know that this process that we've done for the last, I guess, 9 or 10 months is a new process. And so as we get feedback from housing authorities, we're fine-tuning our processes, and we are going to minimize the amount of time and the amount of actions that you will have to do with HUD headquarters. So in most instances, starting in January, you'll receive a notice from HUD, but guess what? You're not going to have to send us anything, okay? No certification statements, no nothing. But what you must be aware of is that we are going to check your reports. Because, like, for example, we received quite a number of responses from housing authorities saying, I certify that I have corrected the deficiencies. Now, I'm not going to call out any names, nobody in this room, okay? But there was a couple housing authorities sending that certification statement, and we pulled up your report, and by golly, you still got those same 5 dead people on there since 1937, okay? That's a clear indication of either you didn't understand what we were asking, or you thought your 5/8 were successfully submitted into PIC. So please don't get upset when you get that notice. Look at it as an opportunity for us to help you fix the deficiency, okay? I have yet to have an unhappy customer hang up when they finish talking with me, because I'm showing you how to fix your PIC boo-boos, okay? So here is the schedule on slide 22 that shows you basically in the month of October, we send out reports for the period ending September 30th. The next reports will come out in January for the period ending December 31st, and so forth and so forth. And as we work through these issues, you'll start to see that the data cleanup in PIC is there. And I'm really excited. And I hate to call people out, but is New York City Housing Authority here with us today? JT? Ed, shine the camera on JT. I want you to know that we have been working with NYCHA, and they have done a bang-up job in, working with us to correct issues on their 5.8s and getting those 5.8s successfully submitted into PIC. I've been working with folks all across the country, and I just want you to know we are here to help you. And I think, JT, you must like me because you came all the way from New York City. He said, absolutely. A happy customer. Our goal is to help you. So please, don't take offense if we reach out to you. We're trying to help you. And I want you to know that we shared some statistics earlier during our improper payments celebration that as of 9:30, and keep in mind, these statistics, they're your statistics. It's the PHA statistics. They're not HUD statistics. It's the work of you. We just track these statistics. But for example, invalid Social Security numbers on the 5.8. You guys reduced that number by over 40% during fiscal year 2011. We had a baseline of over 4,000 dead people on the rent rolls. Our goal was to reduce that number down to like 2,086. Guess where we were on September 30th? 1,548. JT, thank you for your efforts, your teams. Thank you to those regions. There were about 14 regions. On September 29th, I reached out to local HUD offices and I said, please, could you reach out to these 29 housing authorities and have them submit at least 6 EOP records to PIC by September 29th so that when EIV does its weekend summarization job on October 1st, and I grab my numbers for the September 30th stats, I need to be at 2,086 or lower. Mind you, June 30th, we were above the initial threshold or baseline number. We were at 4,172. And somebody was like, well, wait a minute, your baseline was 4,086. How did the number go up? I said, well, by golly, the graveyard's been busy, unfortunately. But NYCHA, San Francisco, LA, Topeka, Buffalo, Boston, housing authorities around the globe, you guys, I appreciate, they're like, that daggone Nicole, here she come in the 11th hour begging for some help. Thank you so much because you guys made it happen. We reduced that number by over 63%. You guys. You guys are fabulous, and that's why I love working with you because you all share the same passion that I share. So I want to commend you all for a great job well done. So with that said, as we mentioned, all the notices are going to go out to the executive director. Please, executive directors, forward those messages to the appropriate designated staff persons. We want to help you. Make sure that you promptly follow up to the initial notice that's sent to you regarding that. But again, like I said, starting January 1, we're going to be revamping those protocols. And so the only thing you're going to have to send documentation to HUD for is deceased tenant single-member households in which we'll be reviewing your financial records to confirm any overpayments and the amounts of the recoveries. Other than that, we're not going to be asking you for anything, okay, unless there's something specific that we need to determine a family's eligibility and level of assistance. So I do want to let you know that I have heard everyone's concerns. Please note that this process is a new process, and as we work it, we will fine-tune it. We will minimize the administrative burden associated with our improper payments assessment. But as mentioned earlier, improper payments is a hot topic. It's a presidential initiative. There is campaign cut waste that is, on the table now from President Obama, requiring all federal agencies to be proactive and to exercise all means necessary to identify and recover this money. And as you know, the monies that you all are recovering is going back into the pot to help families within your portfolio. Okay, so this is what RHIIP monitors, and in a nutshell, your PIC delinquency report, your re-exam report, the EIV, PHA usage report, deceased tenants report, identity verification, multiple subsidy immigration report, and the EIV income report in the context of tenant unreported income. So what we're asking you to do is, if you get a notice, review the notice, review the applicable EIV reports, take the necessary corrective action to adjust any 5/8 that need to be adjusted. If you have 5/8 that are being rejected and you don't understand why it's being rejected, check your PIC submission report so that you can see the error codes associated with why it's being rejected. Also, you want to make sure that you're successfully submitting the 5/8 to PIC, because a lot of times what I'm finding is that a lot of housing authorities, they thought they submitted the 5/8 to PIC, or they thought they successfully submitted the report to PIC. However, it was rejected. So you want to make sure that when you're submitting your 5/8 to check your PIC submission report, and if there's an error, you want to go ahead and implement the applicable corrective action as outlined on pages 199 through 201 of the PIC Technical Reference Guide. Okay, there's about 8 or 9 standard common error message for why a 5/8 is rejected. So I know the PIC Technical Reference Guide can be a little intimidating, and if you're not IT, you're like, oh, no. I'm here to tell you, pages 199 through 201, if you will print those out, because most of you will find that when you call me, you and I are having a reading exercise together. I'm reading to you verbatim how to correct your error. That's why I said earlier, reading is fundamental, because if you can read that short error description and the corrective action and follow those instructions, 1, 2, 3, your 5/8 will successfully be submitted. Okay, so in the event that you do have issues, you can reach out to your PIC coaches, your EIV coordinators in the local HUD office. But also, please note that on the letter that goes out to the ED, it says if you have a question or if you have a concern about the content of the notice, you are to contact me, yours truly, okay? Again, I am here to assist you. I now have a team of 5 additional individuals that are dedicated to working with you, and we typically do return phone calls within a 24-hour period, okay? And then in any instance where we do require documentation to you, you will submit it to this PIH.improperpayments@HUD.gov by the specified due date. And then tips for successful resolution of deficiencies. Very simple. Read the HUD notice of deficiency, follow the HUD guidance, and use the HUD provided documentation checklist. And then please don't submit us anything that we don't need. Now, we indicated with a lot of these improper payments assessments, please do not submit copies of the HUD Form 50058 to us. Friends, you're wasting your time by scanning these 5/8s and putting them in a PDF file and sending them to us. We can see your 5/8s, okay? We have access to PIC, so it's not necessary for you to take snapshots of PIC and send us, this, that, and the other. All we have access to PIC, okay? HUD spelled backwards. Work smarter, not harder. Don't waste your time creating. I'm not going to call the housing authority name out, but I love you all because, they sent me this big binder, and it was beautiful. Nice and tabbed, and all these screenshots, and PIC 5/8s. And I'm like, Dad, it's probably spent about 5 hours putting this together. That's 5 hours that you could have been doing annual re-exams or chasing after money or chasing after tenants and getting those units ready for occupancy on the public housing program. Some of y'all are Snoop Doggy Dog detectives. And I want y'all to know we have a special guest in the audience today, but I'm not going to call her out just a moment. But, if you really want to be an investigator, I have got the lady for you that is really dynamic. Okay, now y'all know I hate to talk about penalties for non-compliance because in my heart, I know that everyone wants to comply with HUD requirements. Although there are a few of you out there that are kind of rebellious, and that's okay, not a problem. You can be rebellious. And if you don't want to follow the HUD rules, there's no problem with that either. There isn't, because that's what our HUD Inspector General's office is for following up and investigating and identifying deficiencies and program noncompliance. And, you know, some people don't belong in this housing business. We all know that. There are some of us that don't belong here. You know who you are. But everybody in this room and everybody watching, you all belong in the program. So, you know, this really is directed to those people that are not watching. So, you know. Anyway, here's a list of areas in which a housing authority could be subjected to penalties for noncompliance: failure to use the EIV system, failure to respond to a HUD notice. If we request documentation from you to determine eligibility or potential improper payment and you don't send that information to us, please understand that you could be subjecting your housing authority to monetary penalties. HUD has the right to review any and all documents related to the administration of the program, and we do our best not to bother you for documentation that we don't need, because guess what? Our time is valuable too, and we do not have time to sit and look through things that have no value or meaning to us. So please make sure that if we ask for documentation that you provide exactly what we ask for. If you fail to submit HUD requested documentation, that's problematic as well. Please make sure that you are recovering your identified improper payments, because guess what? If you identify improper payments or HUD identifies improper payments and you do not recover that money, who's going to pay for it? You are, exactly. Housing authorities, you're going to have to pay that money back. And guess what? It's not a problem. I had one executive director. He was like, "Well, Ms. Faison, I'm not sending y'all nothing, and I'm not reimbursing my housing choice voucher net restricted assets." Not a problem, sir. All I do is make a phone call to the financial management division and ask them to offset your next month's check or disbursement to you for that amount. It's not a problem. We're going to get our money one way or the other. Okay? So please don't be rebellious. Just, you know, do everything the right way. And remember, folks, there's only one way, and it's the right way. Okay? All right. Falsification of documentation. Now, I am saddened to say, remember I told you all about Peggy, that employed at the Housing Authority a couple sessions back? Peggy is like your disgruntled worker. She really would prefer to be needle pointing or skydiving rather than, you know, administering the HUD rental assistance programs, but she's still there because she needs a paycheck. And I told you, those are the type of people that you have to stay away from because they could get you into trouble. We had a housing authority staff person that actually created some, what I would like to say, very creative documentation. Bottom line is, our little team, we're like, you know, we take training lessons from Judge Judy, so we know forged documents when we see them. Please don't send us forged, falsified documents. That lady, she's like, "Oh my goodness, somebody did that?" Yes, they did. Don't do it. Okay? So, now it's time for our EIV question and answer session related only to what's new in EIV and about our program monitoring compliance piece. And I do want to let folks know that are watching this training session via webcast, this portion of the training session is basically coming to an end with respect to updated EIV system training, which is a required training for all EIV system users, and this training is required to be completed by April 29th, 2012, okay, for existing EIV system users. Once we conclude the EIV question and answer session, we are actually going to get into the initial EIV system training, which is designated for new EIV system users or those current EIV system users who are opting to voluntarily participate in a refresher course, okay? So initial EIV system training is only required for new EIV system users, folks who are getting ready to get on EIV for the very first time, or those individuals who want a refresher course at their option. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. And so while we queue up, our next PowerPoint presentation to cover initial EIV system training, I want to let you all know that if you were watching the May 2nd, 2011 EIV training session, I expressed my deep, undying love for EIV through the display of an I Love EIV bumper sticker. And I explained to you at that time that that I Love EIV bumper sticker actually was not my idea. It originated from the EIV guru in the Northeast region that we had recognized during the May training session on May 2nd. And if you remember, if you go back, I think it was slide 4 or 5, and we had a lovely picture of Megan Prophet, okay? I want you all to know that Megan Prophet has come all the way from Seattle. I am so ecstatic, okay? And Ed, I love Ed, my producer, but Ed's got a camera, and Ed's gonna shine the camera on Megan so that everybody can see the Nicole clone of EIV, okay? So Ed, the lady here to my right in the green is Megan Prophet. Wave to everybody. This is your Northeast region EIV guru with the Seattle Housing Authority. And Megan is here with her colleague, Donna. Did I get it right, Donna? These two ladies are like your top-notch Snoop Doggy Dogg investigators in this planet, okay? So if you guys, and I'm putting a plug in here, I mean, I'm sorry, Rhonda Hugh, but some people are probably going to be trying to steal Megan and Donna from you. These ladies right here, if you want to see your bottom line be beautiful, these two ladies are it right here. And they can share with you some of the tips and some of the ideas that they've been doing that has, basically been phenomenal. They're cleaning up PIC data. They're identifying improper payments. They've got a whole on-site, monitoring protocol within their agency where they're QCing the work that's being done by the occupancy specialists and making sure that everything is done in accordance with HUD requirements as well as the housing authority's policies and procedures. Because remember, HUD has a overarching regulations that says, okay, you must do this, but then there's other arenas where HUD says you have the discretion to do A, B, C, and D. And so a lot of times housing authorities have policies and procedures in place that are not HUD requirements, but agency requirements. And these ladies, they make sure that everyone is on board with the agency policy and procedures, making sure that everyone's following the standard operating procedures to inform uniform and consistent application of the rules across the board. Because we all know at some agencies, you can go there and they say, well, Nicole, that's not how Ms. Smith would do my annual re-exam, because, she takes this number and then she divides by 50 and then adds 2 and then she stands on her right leg and then she goes, yeah, your new rent is $20. Not these ladies, no. They're telling you, look, in accordance with 24 CFR Part 5, Section 609, subparagraph C through 1 through 7, and plus our agency's, discretionary added inclusions, exclusions, this is how it's done. Any deviation from that, these two right here, I'm going to have to recommend you for a training course. But this is a good built-in quality control, quality assurance, okay? So guess what? When HUD comes out to do a review or an audit, it's already done. Okay? So I'm just sharing with you, Seattle, I'm proud of the work that you all do. I thank Rhonda Hugh for making it possible for Megan and for Donna to join us. And of course, I have some people in the audience, and we've got regular followers of EIV, but Mark Watson, North Carolina, if you'll wave. He's not going to wave. He's like, "Dag, Nicole, you put me on the spot." But and Cliff Davis, we got so many people. We've got Anna, we've got Beverly from Texas. We've got Teresa. She came all the way from Texas by herself. And I'm like, "Teresa, thank you so much for coming." She's like, "Okay." But this is the type of enthusiasm for administering the program, and I just want to say I thank you for that. So if we don't have any questions for the EIV updated system training, we'll go ahead and get into the bulk of initial EIV system training, and I'm going to ask that anybody in our live studio audience, if you will quietly exit if you don't plan on staying for this session, to quietly exit. And so what I want to do is get into the training agenda here for our initial EIV system training designed to give you EIV A to Z, how to use this system, what it is, what to expect. And so for those of you that are staying with us, we do have a large EIV system training materials, and if I could get some of my team members, for those of you that do not have the initial EIV system training, if you could just raise your hand so that one of my team members can get those training materials to you. For those of you that are viewing via webcast, we are going to break at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then resume at approximately 3:20. So I just want to let you know we are going to take a break at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you that are still with us in our live studio audience, one of my team members will make sure that you get the training materials that will be used for this afternoon and continue on tomorrow afternoon, because this is a two-part segment. Part one for initial EIV system training is beginning now. Tomorrow from 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will begin the second half of initial EIV system training. And for those of you that are viewing via webcast, I am planning to work late tonight to try and get other versions of the training materials for you in the 3 slides per page and black and white training materials, because the materials that we have posted on the website are full color, which is a requirement for displaying that information by video. So here's our agenda. And the agenda covers both today and tomorrow, but I want to make sure that for those of you that are watching via webcast, maybe there's only one segment of EIV that you quite don't get the warm and fuzzy about, and so there's no need to watch this whole training segment. You can just watch that slither of the EIV training. So for today, we're going to basically cover everything on slide 2, which is access to the EIV system, an overview of the system, how to use the system, and then also viewing the income reports in your day-to-day activities, and then income discrepancy resolution using the EIV income report, and then my favorite, the debts owed to PHAs and termination module, as well as access to that module. And then slides 3 and 4, we're going to cover tomorrow, okay? So I'm letting you know right now, today we're probably going to get through access to the debts owed to PHAs and termination module. So with that said, understanding the EIV basics, okay? Here's where you get to learn what is EIV, what's it all about, what it does, where the data comes from, okay? And folks often hear us at HUD say, EIV is an upfront income verification tool. What is UIV? And basically, upfront income verification is nothing more than a verification technique to verify income through an automated form. basically relying on information that's derived from a database that's maintained for a large number of individuals. We commonly refer to it as automated written third-party verification. And I introduced this formula to you many years ago. This hasn't made it into the mathematician books yet, but EIV equals UIV, UIV equals EIV, EIV equals A3PV, automated third-party verification. So what is the EIV system? It's an upfront income verification tool. It's a web-based application available to authorized program administrators of HUD rental assistance programs. And in essence, this tool is used to validate tenant reported wages, unemployment, Social Security, income during all mandatory annual and interim reexaminations of family income. It's an automated tool to identify potential improper payments. The system is initially designed to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse within HUD rental assistance programs. And if you remember EIV from the very, very, very beginning, EIV was just a repository of income information, but we've expanded the system to cover various other avenues such as deceased tenants, invalid Social Security numbers, duplicate assistance, and potential unreporting of income. And the system contains income information that's derived from two main databases. The first one being the Social Security Administration as well as the Health and Human Services. Those are two federal agencies that have databases with information, and HUD interacts with those agencies through a computer matching agreement to obtain this information to make it available to housing authorities. And also the system contains debts owed to PHAs and termination information, which is derived from you, the PHA community, you all entering in information regarding outstanding debts owed to you from former tenants, tenants who have left the program, no longer participating, or adverse information about tenants after they left the program. And all of this information that is collected in EIV is protected under the Federal Privacy Act, which basically means that individuals have certain rights with respect to the information that we collect about them and how we use that information. Now notice here on this slide 11, we outline that housing authorities are required to use the EIV system, okay? And this is a requirement under the regulation that I cited earlier, 24 CFR Part 5, Section 233, which became effective on January 30th of 2010 under the Refinement of Income and Rent Rule. And you'll notice that the handouts for the initial EIV system training contains a copy of that Refinement of Income and Rent Rule as a reference for you. So if you've downloaded those training materials, you'll see that, and for those of you that are in our live studio audience, you have that at the back of your training materials. And, EIV is designed to reduce administrative burdens in verifying, tenant reported family income, as well as designed to reduce administrative as well as subsidy payment errors. And then EIV, the reason why I love it is because it minimizes the need for traditional third-party verification. Remember that back in the day you used to mail and fax verification forms to employers, and you're praying that it's going to come back, praying, please let this information come back. You've got little yellow Post-it stickies saying, pending, 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 waiting, waiting, okay? You no longer have to wait for these traditional third-party verifications because HUD has redefined third-party verification as outlined in PIH Notice 2010-19. And then for EIV, for Social Security benefits, you can use EIV solely to do the calculations of income derived from Social Security benefits as long as the family does not dispute the amount that is displayed in EIV. And we do have a notice, PIH Notice 2010-3, which was renewed this year under PIH Notice 2011-02, which again is a handout with these training materials. So you see the PIH notice will provide you with additional guidance on streamlining the verification process for Social Security benefits. Also, because HUD has redefined third-party verification, pay stubs, which were normally taboo, oh no, we don't accept pay stubs because pay stubs touch the hands of the tenants. Well, my friends, by definition now, as outlined in PIH Notice 2010-19, pay stubs are written third-party verification. Did your tenants make those pay stubs? No. Those pay stubs originated from a third party. Now, I know, Megan, you have some of those tenants that are creative, and you have a few. She's nodding. She's like, She's like, I got some forged pay stubs once upon a time. Yeah, there's some people who will make up some pay stubs. They've got Peachtree software accounting on their home computer, and they have created some pay stubs. But see that right there? That's another Snoop Doggy Dog over here on the left side to me. You catch them, don't you, honey? She catch them, see? There's no getting by her with those forged pay stubs. So all I'm saying is that now current pay stubs from the tenant that are in the possession of the tenants are now by definition, and this is effective as of May 2010, and that continues to be HUD's practice, that pay stubs in any document that originates from a third party but in the possession of the tenant is acceptable documentation. So, Megan, thank you for being very cognizant and updating the policies and procedures, because some of the auditors they're not up to snuff with the HUD notices. So you have some auditors that are still in the old way of doing business. They're not on the wave of the new way of doing business. And the new way is that the pay stubs are acceptable, okay? So pay stubs are acceptable. Employer letters with EIV is acceptable. And again, implementation of EIV and the streamlined verification process clearly outlined on PIH Notice 2010-19. There's a lovely chart outlining the various income verification techniques that a housing authority may utilize, starting with the highest verification technique of EIV down to UIV, which is your upfront income verification technique, such as using the work number. Then you're going to your written third-party verification, which is acceptable tenant supply documents, any document that originates from a third party. The same verification techniques are also applicable when families are applying for assistance. So this is not just applicable to existing tenants. So if you have families that are coming in and applying for assistance and you're going through the screening process and you're requiring the applicant family to provide documentation, this too is applicable to that, okay? Now, tenant-provided documents from a third party is acceptable, so that means you're going to reduce the administrative headaches associated with the traditional third-party verification process. You would only need to pursue your traditional third-party verification in these three instances: if your tenant was unable to provide you with documents requested by you, the housing authority. So, for example, we understand that situations happen. Ms. Faison, I really would love to give you those pay stubs, but, unfortunately, Fluffy chewed up my pay stubs, and the human resource specialist is on vacation for the next 5 months. It happens. So you could then, rely on your traditional third-party verification. However, I want to caution you on the traditional third-party verification, because if you read PIH Notice 2010-19, we tell you that HUD discourages hand-completed forms. And remember why we don't like those handwritten forms, because we really have no way of validating that information that is handwritten. The ideal situation would be for the employer to just go to its computer and give you a printout of the earnings for that family, because then we know that the likelihood of that information being forged or falsified is slim to none. However, we do recognize that for small mom and pop shops, the little, A&P, shop right on the corner, may not have computerized systems. And so in those instances, that's what you're going to get. Because they don't, some of them, Miss Faison, they pay me in cash and they just give me this little stub that, Miss Becky wrote out on a little scrap piece of paper. You have to take that. What else are you going to do? I've learned the hard way, because when I worked at the Housing Authority, I was straight textbooks. Well, you know, Miss Faison, I worked down there at Miss Annie's corner store, and, you know, this is all she give me. I'm like, well, you're going to have to tell Miss Annie to step it up. She need a computer. You know, here's some recommended software. Let her know I can come down there after work and hook her up with a new computer software so she can generate you some pay stubs. But, of course, you know, Miss Burton was like, Nicole, you can't require that of people. So just, you know, be realistic. And, you know, there are just certain situations that you're not going to be able to get exactly what you anticipate getting. So you have to work with people. Next item. If the tenant provided documents are not acceptable to you, she done already told you that she got some documents that appeared to be forged. So, you know, she was very polite. She said, well, you know, Miss Jones, these pay stubs, these something's wrong with these. Is there somebody in the HR that I can call and get some other statements, because these are not working for me? Now, some of you are a little, you know, rough around the edges. Miss Jones, these right here, these are forged. So, no, you're going to come up with something else in 10 days, or we're going to send you a 30-day notice to vacate. Y'all laughing at the ones that do that. Whatever works for you, but remember, keep it professional. Keep it professional, okay? Because you do not want to be written up on your performance evaluation that you were unprofessional or you were insensitive to the needs of individuals, okay? I learned. I'm just sharing you from my own experience, because, you know, my first couple years of evaluations at the Housing Authority, Nicole is insensitive to the needs of our customers. Nicole this, Nicole, I've learned. So I'm just sharing with you, because some of you all are new at this, and you have to tone it down just a itty bitty, okay? Last but not least, if your tenant disputes the EIV and one of the above conditions apply, then you have to go the traditional third-party verification route. So as I mentioned before, use of the EIV data is very clear-cut. You're using it to validate tenant-reported income, okay? Family comes in, or if you're doing your annual re-exams by the mail and the person writes down that they received no income, and they fill out the zero income checklist, and you compare that with EIV, and you don't see any wages, and you don't see any Social Security or unemployment, then everything is okay. However, if you should happen to look in EIV, and that same person who reported to you basically zero income or partial income, and you see in there that they work at the Piggly Wiggly grocery store, then you're going to be having a conversation with that client about the disparity between what's in EIV and what is being conveyed on that annual reexamination documentation that they have mailed into you or has been conveyed to you during that interview, face-to-face interview, okay? Please keep in mind the EIV data, specifically the wages and the unemployment information, should not be used to calculate anticipated annual income. Remember, the EIV information has a lag time, so the information that's in there is not as current as we would like for it to be, and we're going to talk about the age of the EIV information in just a little bit. So please make sure that you're following the HUD guidelines with respect to using EIV to do your annual calculations. Now, for retro calculations, as long as the EIV information is not disputed by the individual and you're doing retro calculations, there isn't going to be an issue. But going forward, calculating anticipated annual income, the goal is that you're going to use the most current income information that is available to you at that point in time to project the income in the future. Okay. Here's some more reasons why I love EIV, or the benefits of EIV, is that it's going to help you to identify and prevent fraud and abuse in the rental housing assistance programs. It's going to help you identify and recover improper payments. At the end of the day, as we discussed earlier, it's going to ensure that limited federal dollars serve as many families as possible. And at the end of the day, you're going to ensure that families that are in need have accessibility to the program. So those are all of the benefits of EIV. And One of the other things that I love about EIV is that it reduces the administrative burdens associated with the traditional verification processes that we all have learned over the years. Those of you that are new and just joining the Housing Authority for the first time, you won't have to be exposed to the old way of doing business, but you should know that in the past, the traditional third-party verification was very time-consuming, as we mentioned earlier. Very time-consuming. You send out the verification by mail or by fax, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting for it to come back. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it doesn't. Postage and telephone costs associated with the income verifications. We all know that postage continues to go up, okay? And if you're mailing these forms out, a lot of times you're wasting money because guess what? You've spent money to send it. You've got a self-stamped envelope to come back to you. And guess what? If you don't get that, that's wasted postage, okay? And then, of course, sitting on the telephone, trying to get verifications. Hi, may I speak with Paul Jones in Human Resources? Well, I've only been trying to call him for the last 10 years, trying to get this verification. Oh, he's on vacation? Oh, he'll be back next year? Oh, what do? Then you end up going down to the lower level verification technique. Housing authorities need to ensure that they have policies and procedures in place to deal with non-responsive individuals with respect to verification. So if you have an employer that you're contacting over and over and over and over again, unfortunately you're going to have to go to the next lower level verification technique to verify that information. Also, please note, the cost of third-party verifications is rising. A lot of companies are now charging for verifications, okay? So if there's a fee associated with that, we all know that the fee associated with verifications is not cost-effective. So I don't expect any housing authority to paying $41.67 for verification of prescriptions from Walgreens, okay? It just logically doesn't make sense. There is no return on that investment. So don't do it, okay? Ambiguity of written third-party verification is basically eliminated as a result of EIV. Because remember, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of you in the past have received third-party verifications written by someone, and you're like, well, what was this person thinking? I asked for the last 4 weekly pay stubs, and you see the person makes $8 an hour, and they got $5,642. You're like, well, this doesn't even make sense. So a lot of times, people don't understand the forms that are being presented to them for completion, or they just put on there what they want to put on there. And then not to mention, my friends, we do have some, not all, but we have a few folks out there that like to scam the system. And I learned this the hard way at my housing authority. This is why I got away from the traditional third-party verification, because I would fax it over to the employer, and then it would come back like that. And as I'm looking at the third-party verification, this handwriting has a very keen similarity here. I've seen this writing before. And plus it didn't make sense either, because the person, they made $10 an hour and they work 40 hours a week, but this form wanted me to believe they made $5 an hour and only worked 10 hours a week. But then when I started looking at the handwriting and kind of turning the page this way and turning my head this way, I came to the conclusion through my handwriting expertise that my client had completed that form. You don't say. It happens. So you can avoid all that by relying on automated verifications. Or how about this one? Your tenant has a friend in the payroll office. Girl, look, this form is going to come in. I just want you to put down X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to give you $20 so you can play bingo on Friday. If you do this one favor for me. Sally wants to play bingo, so guess what? She's getting that $20. She's like, I got paper, I got money, I'm playing bingo. What you wanted to say? You have just received a forged document, but guess what? You don't know, because the rule tells you request third-party verification, get it back, and that's what you use. And that's what I'm saying. PIH Notice 2010-19 tells you that HUD prefers automated verifications or documentation that is not handwritten to reduce the ambiguity or the potential falsification of information, okay? And we've already talked about the occurrence of not receiving requested written third-party verification in a timely manner, which basically EIV eliminates. Now, content and source of the EIV information. As I mentioned earlier, EIV information is derived from the Social Security Administration, who provides us with death record information. SSA also validates the personally identifiable information of your tenants, which means your tenant name, Social Security number, and date of birth. And then also, SSA provides us with the monthly, net, and gross Social Security, as well as supplemental security income information, dual entitlement benefit information, as well as Medicare and hospital insurance premiums. And as you all know, on October 19th, the Social Security Administration did announce that there will be a cost of living adjustment, or COLA, in the amount of 3.6%. However, unfortunately, the 2012 Medicare premium rates have not been announced, okay? So unfortunately, while you do know what the new SSA benefit amount is, you are required to use the new Social Security amount, and until you have information on the Medicare premium, you would just basically use the current amount. Now, if you go to SSA's website and click on Medicare or search Medicare 2012 premium rates, they refer you to the Medicare.gov website, and if you Google within their page Medicare premiums for 2012, guess where it sends you back to? SSA. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. I don't know. When I know the 2012 rates, you'll know the 2012 rates, and if somebody gets wind of the 2012 rates and can give me a reliable resource of that information, I will be more than happy to share that information with you once it is published. The source of the SSA information is derived from SSA's databases, as well as their Death Master File, or DMF, which is information reported by your medical examiners, your mortuaries, or next of kin or family member with respect to death information. For those of you that also want another resource to confirm death information, Ancestry.com. It's free. You can go online, you can punch in your tenant Social Security number, and confirm the date of death and how the death was reported, either by public information or by a family member. Ancestry.com. We use it here at HUD headquarters. When we pull up your deceased tenants report, if there's a blank, that means SSA did not provide us with the date of death, but there's an indication that the individual died. However, we will talk about the deceased tenants report later on. Now, the second data source in EIV is derived from the Health and Human Services, or HHS's National Directory of New Hire, or NDNH database, and they provide HUD with quarterly wages, quarterly unemployment insurance, as well as monthly new hire and employer name, address, employer identification information. The source of this information in the NDNH database, notice that the UI, or unemployment insurance, is derived from the state workforce agency, or the agency within your state that is responsible for paying out the periodic unemployment compensation. The quarterly wage information, whether federal wage or non-federal wage, is derived from the employers who report this information to the state workforce agency, who then transfers that data to the National Directory of New Hires. And then your W-4, or new hires information, again, is derived from the employer, reported to the state, who then in turn reports it to the National Directory of New Hires. Your debts owed to PHA's information, as I mentioned earlier, is derived from you, the PHA community. And here are a list of the EIV system functions, which in a nutshell is very simplistic. It's going to identify tenants whose identity cannot be verified through the Social Security Administration, tenants who are required to disclose a Social Security number, as well as identifying tenants who are no longer with us and have gone on to glory or to another place, and those tenants who may be receiving multiple assistance. Also, the system has the ability to identify applicants who may be receiving multiple assistance. Now, keep in mind, EIV in the context of income information is not available for applicants because HUD does not collect information from you on applicants. The system also identifies tenants who have started a new job. We'll talk about that later on the new hires report. And then also tenants who may have not been so forthcoming with their income information is outlined in the income report, and we refer to those as income discrepancies. And then for your former tenants who owe another housing authority money or have an adverse or negative EOP and the participation status is in the system. I love EIV because it is accessible 24/7, 365 days of the year. And when I am basking in the sun on the sunny beaches of Aruba, I have the ability to log on to EIV if I need to, even if it's late at night. Isn't that a beautiful thing? It's beautiful. Very seldomly does the system go down. It will go down for maintenance typically over the weekends, but guess what? The maintenance typically doesn't take too long, and so, for example, when I was online with EIV on Saturday, October 1st, trying to get those stats in for, the PHA's deceased tenants numbers, it was Saturday night. The average person Saturday night, they kicking back, watching a movie, having a good time at the local Cheers. Nicole, what you doing tonight? Girl, I got a date with EIV. I'm like, what? Gotta check those numbers. So EIV is there for you whenever you want it, whenever you don't want it. Just click and she'll be there for you. Okay, please note, as I mentioned earlier, EIV information not available for applicants in the context of income information. The system will typically provide you with 2 years of wage and employment information, current SS and SSI benefits along with dual entitlement, and the last 8 changes to the benefits. And I'm going to show you screenshots of what this information looks like and provide you with information on these particular income components within EIV. I always say this, EIV is not a be-all to end-all. Okay, and what I mean by that is that EIV can only display the income information that HUD receives from its third-party sources. Now, I know some individuals throughout the country have reported, well, Nicole, EIV is only showing me Q2 or Q4 2009 data. Where's the 2011 stuff? Where's the 2010 stuff? It's just like milk. Got a cow, got milk. Got data, got EIV. If we don't have the data, we can't display what you would like to see. So, you may know that your tenant is working at the local Walmart and you don't see it in EIV. It's not an EIV system deficiency. The fact of the matter is that there could be a breakdown. Maybe the employer did not submit their information to the state workforce agency. Maybe the state workforce agency did not submit that information to the National Director of New Hires. So when HUD does its match with the National Director of New Hires, if the data is not in their database, that information is not going to be made available to you. Same thing with Social Security benefits. Sometimes, you'll have a printout from the local SSA office showing that this person receives $500 a month, but in the EIV, there's nothing there. Well, HUD matches at SSA headquarters in Baltimore. If for whatever reason that information from the local office doesn't make it up to that master database in Baltimore, we don't have it. Same thing like with you guys. Housing authorities, you transmit data to PIC. You have your own systems. If you hit the button, or you thought you hit the button, but it didn't go through, I'm like, hey, look, Sally, where's your 5.8? I sent it. I don't see it. So it's the same thing with EIV. If you don't see the information in there, it's because HUD has not received that information. Okay, now let's talk about the HUD data collection process. This is the process in which EIV obtains information. And basically, the computer matching process occurs based on data that is successfully submitted to PIC and reflected on the 5.8. And that 5.8 must be dated within the last 15 months. So if you've got a 5.8 in there that's 16 months, 20 months, 30 months old, we are not going to pull any data off of that 5.8 because The notion is that if your 5.8 is outdated, there's a good possibility that you do not have a consent form or a valid consent form in that tenant family file. Remember, your consent form, whether it's the HUD form 9886 or the equivalent consent form that meets the requirements under 24 CFR Part 5, Section 230, that form is valid for 15 months. So if after 15 months your family has not signed a new form, HUD technically does not have the authority to request income information about that individual, because remember, your consent form is authorizing HUD and the PHA to request and obtain income information about that family to determine eligibility and level of assistance. Now, I do understand that the current form HUD 9886 needs to be revised. It is, the last time it was revised was, I believe, July 1994. The one before that was July 1991. Okay, so I will be working to ensure that our policy people get that form updated. If they can't get it updated, I'll get it updated for you. By any means necessary, we will get it done, okay? So if there's no form 5.8 in PIC, there will be no income information in EIV, okay? No 5.8, no EIV. No PIC, no EIV. They go hand in hand, okay? Your tenant PII is collected from Section 3 of the 5.8. Again, PII is your tenant personally identifiable information, the name, social security number, and date of birth. Those data fields must be accurate and complete in order for us to submit that information for computer matching. Your PHA reported and verified wages on Section 7 of the 5.8 applicable to wages, unemployment, and social security benefits is also analyzed against EIV received income information to identify potential disparities between family reported and EIV reported income information to do discrepancy analysis. The matching occurs for any 5.8 that's in PIC with any one of these action types, and basically it's a new admission annual, interim reexamination, portability move-in, action type number 7, other change of unit, annual reexam, searching for a search, and they have a voucher, flat rent, update, and historical adjustment, action type 14. News flash, action type 14, historical adjustment, okay? A lot of housing authorities, more than not, are using action type 14 incorrectly. You are not to use an action type 14 to get your 5.8s in that have boo-boos in the tenant personal identifiable information, okay? That is an ultimate no-no. The 14 action type is only to be used for a family in which was a newly admitted family and you had not submitted a new admission for that family, and it's now time to do an annual or an interim or some other type of transaction. If you don't want to read the PIC reference guide, listen to me. Do not use action type 14 for anything other than what it is authorized for, which is the transmission of a new admission which was not done previously to the time that you're ready to do a current, interim, annual, or other action type in PIC, okay? Because if you do, you will create a big mess, okay? But the good news and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is that if you create a mess, yours truly will help you fix it, okay? Now keep in mind, when I talk with you on the phone, I will explain to you what you did wrong. Please don't get upset with me. This is a learning conversation that I'm having with you so that you don't make the same mistake over and over and over and over again, okay? My job is to help you, but I have to teach you how not to make that boo-boo, okay? So no problem if you don't want to read the PIC technical reference guide. No problem if you don't want to read the 5.8 instruction booklet. If you call me, I'm going to read it to you, okay? So I have no problem reading aloud. That was one of my greatest subjects in school. But we're going to read together, and you're going to learn how to fix that error and that if someone should happen to make that error, you can help them. So just like Megan and Donna, they help their staff at the housing authority, like, look, Sally, now you done made this boo-boo, now this is how you're gonna fix this, okay? Now, Megan, I know y'all don't have anybody on there where you done had that conversation about 50 times. But if she did have that person where you had that conversation 50 times, it's time to have a conversation about possibly another position within the housing authority, because that job might not just be for you, okay? It's just something to think about. Some people can do certain things, others cannot. You have to make sure that the job is a good fit for the person. If you know they can't pay attention to details, don't give them a entailed position, because they're not going to be successful. You want everybody to be successful at the jobs that they do at your housing authority. So if some people are trainable and others are not. If you find that you have an untrainable individual, explore other opportunities that will be more conducive to their skill set. That's all I'm asking you to consider. Exactly, because Donna's like, that would make my life so much easier. They're like, now y'all know she can't add 2 + 2 with a calculator. Why are you gonna have her in here trying to do this job? I'm just teasing Donna. She doesn't have anybody like that. Okay, so your computer matching with SSA. Basically, what HUD does is we send the PII to SSA for matching, and basically they're going to confirm whether or not the PII reported on the 5.8 matches what's in SSA's database, and then if it does not match SSA's database, SSA will tell us exactly what the problem is, so you'll have the ability to get what we call failed identity verification errors. And then, of course, if someone is no longer with us, they'll let you know that they're deceased. And then also you'll obtain your Social Security information for positively identified or validated individuals. The matching for SSA occurs between the 1st and the 15th of the month. Typically, all of our matching with SSA is completed by the 15th. Do understand that when we do this matching with SSA, we send multiple files over to them. However, it's in a process. So like, for example, we have 12 files that we send over for matching. We send file number 1, they match it, they give us the results, we post it in EIV. So you may see information for your state posted before, say, another state, okay? Because it goes in a sequence. The SSA information in EIV is updated every 3 months for all individuals in accordance with the computer matching schedule that's a couple pages down in this PowerPoint presentation. And then we do what we consider subsequent monthly matching with SSA, and this occurs based on you submitting updated 5.8s to PIC with changed PII, or personal identifiable information, on Section 3 of the 5.8. So if you remember Operation City, and we said, hey, if you got some issues with your failed SSA identity tests, submit the updated 5.8. So like if you're submitting updated 5.8s for anybody on the failed SSA identity test right now, they will be matched with SSA on November 1st, and once we get the validation back from SSA, the record will be updated. And we'll talk about that when we get into the identity verification report. But any 5.8 that also comes in as a new admission, a portability move-in, a historical adjustment, we automatically match those with the next computer matching cycle. So for example, if you had a new admission coming in today and we had just matched your tenants for this month, you don't want to wait 3 months down the road to find out whether or not your newly admitted family has some issues. We will actually match those with the November match. And then keep in mind, remember, all of your verification reports now have the luxury of fine-tuning the results that are displayed. And what I mean by that is you could say, show me any family who's a newly admitted family who failed SSA identity test. Or show me just the newly admitted families that are deceased. Okay, so you have the ability to look at just a subset of the families that are matched. Your SS and SSI benefits are modified annually. Now, you all know that, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the last couple years there was no cost of living adjustment. I've already been informed that SSA will be updating their databases around November 18th to update everyone's benefits to reflect the 3.6%. So HUD is actually going to match with SSA in December for all tenants to get that new benefit amount. So typically we would anticipate that the newly updated benefit amounts for Social Security and supplemental security income benefits would be available to you by December 15th, but we're saying to you that we may possibly, that may stretch into January depending on how large these files are when we match for everybody. So I did want to let you know that we are shooting to have that information updated by the 15th, but it may run into January, and if that's the case, I will let you know. And we've already talked about the cost of living adjustment that is effective with the January 2012 benefits of 3.6%. And if you want additional information on the cost of living adjustment, anytime you want to confirm the COLA amount or if you want to confirm Medicare rates, you can go to www.socialsecurity.gov to confirm that information. Here's the computer matching schedule with Social Security Administration. And basically this schedule outlines for you the states and the month in which information is matched. And if you'll notice, all you have to do is find your state. So like for example, Oklahoma, we just matched them in September. The next match for them will be in December. So everybody in Oklahoma will be updated in December. There are the states that are going to be matched in November, your Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, and so forth and so forth. Okay, our computer matching with HHS is similar to the SSA process. However, please keep in mind that our HHS match is contingent upon the match results from SSA. And what I mean by that is that if an individual does not pass the SSA identity test, we're not going to match that information with HHS because we know that there's a problem with the personal identifiable information. However, what we do is for HHS, since they provide wage, unemployment, and new hire information, we request from them that information for any individual who is 18 and over, who have passed both the HUD pre-screening and the SSA identity screening. Does anybody know why we only send tenant information for those individuals that are 18 and over for employment information? I'm going to give you a hint. 24 CFR Part 5, Section 609, Paragraph C. And that deals with income exclusions. We don't count earned income of minors. Remember, HUD pays money to obtain this income information, so it will be a waste of federal tax dollars to send Social Security numbers of 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds to HHS because we have to pay for that. Okay, so they have to be 18 and over, but I do have good news because some people are like, well, what about the people that are going to turn 18 next month? We got a remedy for that. Monthly computer matching occurs with HHS between the 16th and the 30th of each month. So notice here that our HHS computer matching begins once the SSA computer matching completes, okay? If our SSA computer matching should happen to complete on the 12th, guess what? On the 13th, we will send the data over to HHS for matching, and we obtain from HHS the new hires, the quarterly wage and unemployment information for any individual who has turned 18 since the last quarterly match. And this actually focuses on monthly computer matching. So like if you have individuals who turned 18 since the last quarterly match with HHS, you don't have to wait 3 months until we do the match again. So if somebody's turning 18 right now, we're going to match them in November, okay? Also, again, HHS matching, in between the quarterly matching cycle, if you have anybody who's a new admission, historical adjustment, or a portability move-in, action type and pick, we will automatically match and obtain data for those individuals. And then our monthly matching is also done for any household, we've talked about this, has turned 18 since the last quarterly match. Now, here's when we do the quarterly match. It's the same for everybody. February, May, August, and November. And the reason why we chose those months is because these are the months in which the most recent quarter income information becomes available to HUD and anybody else who taps into that database, okay? And a lot of folks, I understand your heartburn with EIV with respect to quarterly wages. Oh, Nicole, this data is so old. It's 16 months old, it's 17 months old, it's 2 months old. As I mentioned earlier, I have no control over the age of the data. We rely on data that comes from these databases. However, you need to understand that there are time frames associated with the reporting of this wage information, this unemployment information, the new hire information, and understand that in a perfect world, if everyone did exactly what they were supposed to do, then you can expect to see data in certain time frames. And I'm going to show you those time frames here. The new hire information, the employers are required to report all new hire information twice a month for electronic transmissions or magnetic medium transmittals, 12 to 16 days apart. And so, a lot of people will say, well, wait a minute, Sally just got hired, earlier this month. I'm able to see it in EIV. That's because of this time frame reporting. The employer has to report it within 12 to 16 days apart. And then for all others that are not electronic, they have to report the new hire information within 20 days of the date of hire. And that's a federal requirement. The quarterly wage information, the employers have to report the information no later than 1 month from the end of the quarter. And this is for federal wages. So for example, the quarter that just ended on September 30th, federal employers have to report that information by Monday, October 31st. For your non-federal wages, the time frame is a little bit longer. The quarterly wages, the employer has 4 months from the end of the quarter to report that information. That's where your lag time is coming in, okay? So the employer has 4 months. Like, for example, September 30th, they got 4 months. So that information is not going to be available until 2012. So that's why there's a lag time. The quarterly unemployment compensation has the same reporting time frame as federal wage information, which is 1 month from the quarter end. So you would see your federal wages and your quarterly unemployment compensation for a more recent current quarter than you would for a non-federal wage reported information. And then here's a little cheat sheet that I created for you so that you can know when you can expect to see a particular quarter of quarterly wages or unemployment or federal wages. And notice here, like for example, the quarter that ended on September 30th, your federal wage, you'll see that in November when we do our match with HHS in November. However, that quarter 3 2011 data, you won't see that until February of 2012. So that's why there's that lag time. But remember, the purpose of EIV is to validate what the family is telling you. The good news is that when your tenant starts a new job and that employer reports that information timely, you will know that Nicole just got a side job over there at the Rusty Scupper restaurant at the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. Nicole, what you doing working at the Rusty Scupper? I like seafood, so I want a discount. Okay, so this is where we are. We got 2:45, and so we're going to go into access to the EIV system, and then we're going to take a break at about 3 o'clock. So access to the EIV system, folks are like, hey, I want to get my access to the EIV system, but you have to understand that when you sign up to get access to the EIV system, there are certain rules that you have to comply with. We call them rules of behavior. And all EIV system users are required to comply with these rules. And the rules are really what I call KISS. Keep it stupid simple, okay? They're very simple rules, easy to follow, although some do have a little, they have a little problem following rules, and I can understand that. But you have to be cognizant that this EIV information is protected under the Federal Privacy Act, but EIV is no different than the information that you have in your tenant files. Birth certificates, social security cards, pay stubs, names, addresses, all that's personal identifiable information. So you need to ensure that you are complying with the rules necessary to protect and to safeguard that information. And when an individual fails to comply with the standard rules of behavior, that could result in the termination of an individual's EIV access, civil and criminal penalties if it's elevated to the federal level to that extent. However, I do know firsthand housing authorities are very, very cognizant of security. And there are some housing authorities that will simply just terminate your employment if you put them in a position where you are jeopardizing the integrity of the agency. So I want you to make sure that you're paying attention to your agency's established security procedures that are in addition to or supplement the HUD requirements, because oftentimes states have various laws that are different from the federal laws, and you are required to comply with both federal, state, and local laws within your jurisdiction. So EIV system users are basically responsible for protecting passwords, information, equipment, as well as your housing authority systems and networks and any communication pathways to which users have access to. Also, when you sign up to have access to HUD secure systems, you get what we call a Web Access Security System User ID, or WAS ID, and you get a password issued to you individually, and you are required to protect your HUD-assigned WAS ID and password, and you are required to not share your user ID and password with other individuals. Now, I know I've made this plea and this cry to executive directors and other top-level managers at the housing authorities, and I'm going to make that same plea today again because it still continues to happen. The ED is new on the block, and he wants or she wants to access EIV and any other HUD secure systems. They've done the online request for a user ID and password, and unfortunately, that user ID and password may not have been assigned as quickly as the executive director would like for it to be assigned. And I certainly can empathize with you, Mr. or Mrs. ED. However, please stop going to your employees and saying, look here, Peggy, give me your user ID and password so I can log on to the HUD secure systems, and you can just go in and change your password tomorrow. Now, I understand you're looking at the news every day and the economy is really, really bad, and you do not want to be in the unemployment line. So a lot of employees are intimidated to break the rules to give the executive director that user ID and password. That is an ultimate no-no, okay? Now, Mr. or Mrs. ED, there are some of your employees that will comply with your wish so that you do not flag them as insubordinate, although really that's not insubordination because you're asking them to conduct an unlawful or an act that is not consistent with federal as well as local policies. So, Mr. or Mrs. ED, you do have some whistleblowers. So I just want to alert you, you have some whistleblowers, and you cannot take any adverse action against the whistleblower. Well, you could, but you would end up in a probably employment dispute claim, and that would result in a monetary loss to the housing authority unnecessarily. So just do us a favor, Mr. ED. Be patient, wait for your user ID and password, or better yet, if you need something, then just ask your staff person, hey, can you run this report for me? Can you pull this report for me and just give me this report so I can do, my little analysis here so I can prepare for the board of directors, meeting or what have you. Do not put your staff in a position where they are going to break the rule, because ultimately, guess what? If you break the rule, guess who's responsible? You. Now, right now, I have a notification from Homeland Security where a user ID has been compromised. And guess what? When that user ID pops up on my screen, I just look at the name associated with it in the housing authority, and we had one case where the person went out on maternity leave, and she gave her user ID and password to her temp fill-in person. Well, her temp fill-in person went into some websites that she had no business going to, and guess what? we got an alert that her account had been compromised, and when I called the housing authority, they're like, well, you know, Sally, she's on maternity leave. I said, well, somebody's using Sally's user ID and password. That's an ultimate no-no. And if that happens, if your account is compromised, HUD IT will automatically terminate your access to HUD secure systems, and you'll receive an email message from me via EIV_help@HUD.gov informing you that your account has been terminated and that you must do A, B, C, and D in order for your account to be reinstated. Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone is aware that you cannot share your user ID and password. You know that little commercial? Are those your chips? You know the little nacho chip commercial? Get your own chips. Get your own user ID and password, okay? Don't share. Personal use of EIV information, strictly prohibited. What do I mean by that? That means the EIV information is to be used solely for the purposes of determining eligibility and level of assistance. Now, some of you all, you live in those small communities, and they're like, well, look, hey, Linda, I know you work down at the Housing Authority, and you know my boyfriend's cousins, sisters, nephews, uncles, aunt, you know, can you, girl, where's she work at? Because I'm trying to find out where she work and how much money she make, because I know she got that man, and that man can pay more child support. Don't do it. Don't you look up that information. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, somebody like Megan, she done already dissected your portfolio. Look, Linda, you only authorized to look at EIV information for these 15 tenants. Why were you online at 10:56 and 3 seconds looking at this information for Bubba Jones? You better have a really good explanation for Megan, because you know what? She's gonna be reporting you to the security people. And then your housing authority is going to deal with you. So you want to make sure that you're not abusing your power. And I know, folks, sometimes you just get so excited because you just got all this data at your fingertips, and you just like, boy, you just want to check it out. Don't do it. See how simple these rules are? We already talked about this. You must not provide your user ID and passwords. Users are required to use only approved HUD software settings, and comply with vendor software license and agreements. You must avoid leaving any system outputs, you know, like, for example, EIV reports that contain, you know, tenant information as far as employment and addresses. You don't want to leave that information out unsecured. Also, you want to make sure that you're locking your computer if you're going to be away from your computer for an extended period of time. Most computers, they have an automatic lock that will lock after, you know, 15, 20 minutes of inactivity. If you don't have those types of technical safeguards in place, please make sure that you do it. If you don't have the ability to do automatic system locks, then what you need to do is log out of your system so that your system is not available for access by unauthorized individuals. We talked about this earlier. All users are held accountable for their actions while accessing the EIV system or viewing printed or electronic EIV information, and that anybody who accesses the EIV system, you are all subject to monitoring of some shape, form, or fashion. We do here in headquarters have, you know, master logs which we can monitor and look at, you know, system usage and access and what have you. We do from time to time hire third parties to do, you know, monitoring reviews or what have you. So you could be subjected to a type of review by either HUD contractors, or a third party. If you should happen to suspect a violation of security or breach of EIV system security, please immediately contact your supervisor and then notify the National EIV System Administrator, which is me, at PIH.RHIIP.TA@HUD.gov. If I do not respond to you within 1 hour of you notifying me of a potential security breach, we're asking you to contact HUD's National Help Desk to report that issue so that we can ensure that someone promptly follows up. Because our key here is to make sure that if there's any type of suspected security breach, we want the ability to analyze that suspected breach, determine that in fact that there is a breach, and if there is a breach, whether it's a low or it's a low, a medium, high level impact that would warrant us to take whatever type of action in a reasonable time frame. EIV system users must complete annual security awareness training, which we talked about during the updated EIV system training. You also are required to take initial EIV system training as well as updated EIV system. And as I mentioned earlier, the updated EIV system training, that was the grand finale EIV system training, because we most likely will not be making any more substantial updates to the EIV system over the next couple years. So what you see is what you got on October 31st, and so there won't be a need to do additional updated EIV system training after today's training, nor will there be a need to do an initial EIV system training. So this training that we are airing today on October 27th and air on October 28th, 2011 will be the EIV system training that all subsequent EIV users would view prior to gaining access to the EIV system. Your handlers and viewers of EIV information are only required to complete annual security awareness training. Again, here's the website for the annual security awareness training. It's an online training offered by the Department of Defense. And your initial and updated EIV system training is always free, available to you via HUD webcast and YouTube. And remember, new EIV system users, before you even touch the system and log in, you must complete the training. The authority, as I mentioned, to obtain EIV information is through the HUD form 9886 form or equivalent consent form, which meets the requirements under 24 CFR Part 5, Section 230. If there is no consent form, you, the housing authority, nor HUD is authorized to request or obtain income information for an individual. Disclosure of the EIV information is very simplistic. The information is to be used for the sole purpose of determining eligibility and level of assistance for the following programs: the Public Housing Program, the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, including the Disaster Housing Assistance Program, as well as the Moderate Rehab and project-based voucher programs under these HUD regulations. Now, there are other HUD rental assistance programs that are covered under EIV, but that's outside of the jurisdiction of the Office of Public and Indian Housing. There is a list of multifamily housing programs that are authorized for EIV use, such as your 236, your 202s, and so forth, and those are listed at 24 CFR Part 5, Section 233. And then the Federal Privacy Act prohibits the disclosure of EIV information to another individual without the written consent of an individual. And then your EIV data of an adult household member may not be shared with the head of household unless that individual has given the written consent for that information. So for example, if you have a head of household and maybe member number 3 who is an adult, son or daughter of the head of household, the mother cannot say, oh, well, I need to see Johnny's EIV information. I'll be more than happy to show you Johnny's information upon Johnny's confirmation, that written confirmation that we're allowed to disclose that information to you. However, it does not prohibit you from discussing with the head of household how the family rent was determined based on the income information that was reported by the family. EIV information of a minor may be disclosed to a parent or guardian. And then also, please be reminded that EIV information may be disclosed to these additional individuals or entities outlined on slide 56, which entails the individual to whom it pertains to, PHA hired auditors who have signed non-disclosure oath statements, independent auditors who have signed non-disclosure oath statements, HUD's Office of Inspector General, and the Attorney General's Office. And this is in connection with the administration of the Public Housing Choice Voucher Program and the programs that are outlined on the previous slides. And then any entity associated with judicial proceedings as well as grievance procedures relating to the independent verification of unreported income identified through EIV are also authorized to view EIV information. However, these individuals are not authorized to have access to the EIV system. So if your auditors want access to the EIV system, unfortunately, that falls into the category of, not your EIV, my friends, TBSSSS. Too bad, so sad, so sorry. And then the EIV information may be disclosed to individuals associated with housing choice voucher portability. And what I mean by that is if your tenant is porting to another housing authority, you're required, in accordance with 24 CFR 982-355C4, to provide that receiving housing authority with the HUD Form 50058 and supplemental verifications, which includes the EIV information. So please, my friends, do unto others as you would want done unto you, okay? And can I please ask you, please stop porting out your not-so-good tenants to other housing authorities, okay? I don't want your headache. Your fellow housing authority does not want your headache. If you know that you've got a not-so-pleasant tenant that does not follow the rules, just go on and do what you're supposed to do. Say goodbye. You have to terminate assistance in accordance with your PHA policy. Look here, Peggy, you just need to go on and find somewhere else to live. Go on and port over there to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Don't do that, okay? Please. Stop porting your bad tenants to other housing authorities. You don't want the headache. Why do you think somebody else wants your headache? Getting Advil and Tylenol richer every day. So look, we are at the point of how to obtain EIV access. So what I want to do is I want to break right here, because this is a good breaking point. Let's take a 15-minute break, stretch our legs, get the yawn out, wake up, and come back to a refreshed initial EIV system training. Thank you. And our webcast audience, we're going to play some lovely music for you to dance to as we break.